So, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome entrepreneur, makeup artist, and author Lan
Nguyen Grayless.
Nguyen. Thank you. So, welcome, Lan. So, firstly, I'd like to congratulate you on all your achievements. So, can you please share with us how your entrepreneurial journey started in the beauty and makeup industry?
Hello, and thanks for having me. My journey started with me being in the art world. I did fashion design, and it was only in my third year where I had a little accident with my work, where my ceiling came down and it destroyed everything. And I sort of, it just, the whole ceiling just came down and it destroyed all my work basically, and it was due the next day. And this was me in St Martin's, and I saw that as a sign. I was about 19 then, so fairly young.
Yes.
And I just up and left, went on holiday for 2 weeks and came back and started my whole life again. So I went into a bit of PR. I worked for different companies on events, and it was just through a summer job at a photographic studio that led me into makeup. So it was just doing coffees and teas, concierge at this photographic studio. And one day they were short staffed and asked me to fill in because, they said I looked like somebody who could do makeup, and obviously been in the arts. They assumed I'd be okay at it. And so I ended up doing my first few looks on clients, and rest is history. I've been doing it for over 18 years now, I think. I think that was 2003 when that happened. So I did a lot of makeovers, that working with real women every day, different skin types. And from there, I met loads of photographers. And when I met this photographer in particularly, who was into fashion, and he was assisting another photographer that was doing the shows in Paris, New York, Milan, he asked if I'd be interested in doing a shoot. And it just so happened that the shoot was happening, before Couture Fashion Week in Paris. And the shoot went really well. And so he invited me to go to Paris and assist him.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
Opened the doors, I guess, because I was at Paris Couture Fashion Week amongst all the celebrities and supermodels. And, this was the time of Alec Wack, Natalia Badenova, Eva Herzogova, Helen Christensen, Naomi Campbell, all these ladies all backstage. So I really got to really see how it all worked. And I guess that's the sort of backbone, I guess, for me, being inspired for doing makeup. And just from there, really, I just kept it to the forefront and tested, and opportunities led itself to other opportunities. And it's just word of mouth, because back then we had no social media.
Yes,
so
of course. So you had to hit the pavement harder. For sure.
Well, I didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest. It wasn't like I set out to be a makeup artist or anything. I never knew the industry existed. So for me, it was just like a whole adventure. Like one thing led to another, and I was just always consistently excited and just wanted to do more. So every time I worked or collaborate with somebody, something else would come up, from that job, and then it just kept going, and for years and years. And I think 7 years in is probably when I suddenly just woke up and decided, okay, I'm going to take this seriously now. Because it's just going from job to job that led me, and I really learned to love the industry, and I was very lucky to have so much experience. I mean, now it's a different story, but I think I was very lucky in that time. It's just before Facebook.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you also established a name in the beauty and fashion industry, and known to many as the Skin Alchemist. Can you please share with us more about this, and what makes your style and expertise unique within the fashion industry, or fashion and beauty industry?
Well, I guess because of my experience in working with real women,
Yes.
and obviously I'm self-taught, so I learnt my own techniques,
Yes.
and the way I see makeup is almost like an art form. It takes me right back now when I think about when I paint and when I see color and when I'm inspired. I see shadows on faces. I don't necessarily, I don't look at somebody and think straight away, oh, I could do something to you. It's not until somebody asks me that question of
Yes.
what would I do.
Yeah.
And that's when I come back with loads of answers and ideas, because I do see everyone as a blank canvas, and it's always positive. So I guess when it comes to my style, what people tend to notice is that it's never ugly. It doesn't matter how creative I am or how avant-garde. There's always a touch that it becomes that person. It always has the element of beauty. And it's because, like, my experience working with real women, I always want them to look the best. So it doesn't matter what look I'm creating. My techniques for skin, it's flawless. I work to almost no retouching,
Yes.
and yeah, so obviously my ideas and my experience at shows really helped me develop those skills. So I've been doing shows for a long time, and for me it's like great training, because there is no, you can't hide when you're doing live stuff.
No.
Your makeup is always on show, and that's the way I guess a lot of my clients see me as a painter. Like, I'm always working so that they're flawless.
Yes. Absolutely. So what have been some of the biggest lessons and learnings you've experienced within your career?
A lot of lessons. Well, the whole career is obviously a lesson, I think.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, is there any one particular or few particular things that stand out for you that were really big lessons?
I think my biggest lesson was probably to listen to my gut a bit more, to research a lot more into before taking opportunities.
Yes.
When you're on a freelance world, you're constantly open up to loads of opportunities, and what I've learned is to be able to manage those a bit better, because
Yes.
I've gone through a lot of heartache, I guess.
Yes.
You always go through it once, and that's how you learn your lesson, and that's how you grow, is from those collaborations and things that maybe were not right for me. Or actually, I see everything as a positive. So a lot of things happened, learning about publishing world, learning about collaboration and what part of the business, whether it's 50-50, 60-40, and weighing all these options when you become a brand or when you're collaborating with people. I think the biggest lesson is to learn about other people's motives and have it in writing. I've made a few mistakes where things are verbal, and I've stood to my side of the bargain, and then the other person hasn't, or had a different agenda, and it sort of hurt me. But it made me stronger, because I'm a bit more like less naive, I suppose.
Yes.
When I question everything, so it doesn't make me paranoid, but it just makes me like more business orientated, and just want to make sure that everyone that's collaborating or being involved in any project are all getting something out of it. So I think that's what I've learned.
Yeah, amazing. So you were born in Dublin, Ireland, and grew up in Waterford. So how did this help you shape your creative path?
Obviously, been growing up in Ireland, my parents were, first generation, rescued, after World War II, Vietnam War. And growing up in Ireland, I was very much involved with the community, pretty much, from when I could walk. I jumped into every opportunity to get involved with everybody, and I learned to work from a very young age to help my parents with their business, but also it really helped, I guess, because I was, I suppose, a bit unique looking.
Yes.
There, it wasn't, I never felt different in that way. I was very much integrated with the community, and I loved my upbringing. I absolutely loved my freedom. I had loads of, outdoor space. I was always out till late with all my friends, and the schooling was brilliant. I went to a convent school, all girls, and it was some of the best times of my life, really. And it's made me, I guess, really really relaxed, with the growing up in Ireland. They're quite chilled, quite fun, very sociable, and I think it really brought that out of me, because in my sort of culture, the women are in a certain way. You're sort of brought up to cook, clean. You don't really have a career. It's all about trying to survive and providing for a family and get married. The fact that I didn't get married at the age of 16 or 17 was just like, wow. And the fact that I was still like wanting a whole career in the arts as well was so different. So I really love that everybody I've been around has always pushed me to sort of follow my art and just doing what I want to do. So I've been very lucky, I think, to have that around me.
Yes, absolutely. So how did you break into the makeup industry or beauty industry? Was there and what I mean by that was there one particular moment that gave you a big break, or was it a series of things?
Yeah, I think there was one particular one that I always remember, and this was about 5 years into my career, I think. It was an article that I seen looking for a makeup artist, and I responded, and it was for like a small production company.
Yeah.
And they liked my work. I only had like a few images in my portfolio. I had a meeting. They liked my attitude, and straight away offered me some jobs. And I did like celebrities, I did shows, and one particular job was for a major hair stylist at that time, and his name was Trevor Sorley, and it was for L'Oreal. But when I was pitching for the idea, I didn't actually know what it was for. I was just giving a brief, and so I got the job, and it was like I think there was about 30 models, and I brought in all my friends to help out. It was a major show in London. It was the 40th anniversary for L'Oreal Colour Trophy, which was like all the biggest hairdressers in the UK there, for a mega event. And once I did the show, I met, you just imagine how many hairdressers there. I met literally everybody, and that opened up a lot of doors from the following. And I'm still working a lot with the hairdressers now, and it's really pushed my career in terms of creativity and my skills, and it keeps me going. I've never had to worry so much about finding clients, because throughout the year there's always something on, and it's great to work in that team. So I'm not always by myself, even though the makeup world is such a lonely business, because you are by yourself, even though you're part of a team. But because I collaborate with so many people, I'm quite lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. So you created a new pro makeup design book. What compelled you to create this, and was this an organic process for you?
I decided to do books because obviously when I started, there wasn't that many books that I could relate to when I wanted to learn about makeup. I'm a very visual person, and I love looking at pretty things, great images. And I felt a lot of the books at the time were text heavy. So that first of all gave me the light bulb to create my first book, which is Art and Makeup, which was about the history of where it wasn't just about, step by step. It was like a whole journey from the arts to drama to film to theatre, all those things that relate to editorial and fashion. So it's about a whole journey of where I get my inspiration from. And so the pro makeup design book was a follow-on book, in terms of that colouring was becoming a major thing, a major business. But also when I design makeup looks, I always do smudge charts. I always design first. and then I tested myself. So I always involve it with being quite practical when you're designing, and it's always helped me in my business and career when I'm meeting clients, and I sketch out the ideas, and then I have my assistants who then can follow those ideas through their designs and smudge charts. So I thought it was a good idea to maybe bring that in and make it practical, and hopefully, the younger generation, at school, it's a great tool. Like, the book is a way of jotting down ideas, illustrate, color, and then, at the same time you're learning by asking those questions when you're designing. It sort of implements it in your brain. So then when you are doing the makeup practically, it sort of feels like you've already had a test run. So that was my whole thought process. And I'm glad that it's out there, and, we're on a second print run, and it seems to be going down well with all the students.
Amazing. So you've also created a revolution palette to display your intention and love for makeup. Can you share with us more about this, and why was it so important for you to create your own palette in a highly competitive industry?
Well, I had the opportunity to create this palette. I wanted to create something a bit more simpler at the time, but I wasn't able to do it. And it was only with a chance meeting I had with Adam, who owns Revolution, that we had met, like, I think maybe 8 years before, like when I first did my first book. And we never got around to collaborating together because he wanted to be involved with my first book. But it just so happens that we bumped into each other, and he said he'd like to collaborate, and this was the perfect opportunity for both of us. So he got involved in, supporting, my business, and I got to be able to create something that I feel is a tool for everybody. It's something that hasn't been done. The way I designed it, it was like a book in itself, but it was a palette that has everything I needed for when I'm on set. It's like a touch-up.
Amazing.
But it has eyes, lips, face, cheeks. It's multi-purpose. It's natural. It's cruelty-free. Vegan. It stands for a lot of things. It's recyclable. It's it's affordable. But also, because it has everything in its sizes, it will last as well. So it's a good investment. But also, it's light and handy. It fits in your handbag. So when we're traveling on flights, you don't want to be carrying loads of bottles of everything.
No.
This palette just pretty much has what you need. So it just ticked a lot of boxes, and it works on all. I made sure that it was usable for all different skin types and skin tones as well. So I'm really pleased with it.
Amazing. So would you be able to send a picture or something of the makeup itself? Because I'm sure people would like to see, or I'll post it on my social media as well if you have.
Yeah, I will send it to you.
So your work is featured in some of the top publications such as Vanity Fair, Vogue, LUK, Glamour, and many more, which is a massive achievement in itself. Do you believe that this helped you to open the door to other career opportunities, and how important do you believe publicity to be to you?
I think publicity is quite important because you're reaching an audience that you wouldn't necessarily reach.
Yes.
I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So for me, the PR is education. Because I am self-taught and the ideas that I have are just through my own experiences, I do feel the way I do makeup is a little bit different maybe than majority. Everyone's completely different. But I guess because I stand for education for everyone, diversity, being beautiful inside and out, and I think having that PR stance helps you send your message out to everybody, and having that credibility as well sort of aligns you as an expert, and it's good for the business.
Yes, absolutely. So you're also the youngest Golden Mask Award winner for makeup art, and listed as Ireland's top inspirational women under 40. So can you share with us how that came about?
That was when I released my book. I did a collaboration with a brand called Lan, and they're a Germany family owned. And, you know, they supported me on that whole campaign of my book. And, you know, without their financial help and promotion as well and alignment, I don't think I would have, it may have gone out, but I don't think it would have gone out as well as with their help, because, you know, the print run is sold out, you know, and it's in every museum, library, not every museum, but quite a few museums around the world, and every library. It's on the syllabus for education. You know, it's reached a lot of places, and I've met a lot of people through it. And they usually do this yearly Golden Mask Awards, and people in all different countries submit names, and it was, you know, based on who they thought should win the award. So it's 5 names from every country in the world.
Wow.
And then there's judges from all around the world in the top industry who then collaborate. And it's not like looking at pictures or anything. It's all like, if you tick all these criterias in the boxes and it's all numbered, then whoever has got the most points win. And I remember getting the call and telling me that I'd won. And I actually said, I don't think I can accept it. You know, I felt like, I said, are you sure? I'm sure there's other people you could give it to. I mean, God, there's this makeup artist in America, this makeup artist that designed this film. I was like, it's just me. I don't think I deserve it. But they said, so I asked, you know, how is it scored? Like how, you know, why? And knowing the process, that how they judged, it made me feel better, because it wasn't judged on anybody knowing me in particular. It was all about just purely on my work and what I've done and what I've achieved and how I give back to the industry. So for me, taking that award was it was good. It was so surprising, you know, very emotional time. I didn't expect it, but I hold it gladly. And then the Inspirational Women's Award, that was a nice surprise, and it's from Image magazine, one of the biggest glossy magazines in Ireland. And, you know, to be listed among quite a lot of the big names in Ireland was really like a nice surprise. And that again, I don't know how, but they put me in there. So
wow, that's amazing. So what is your ultimate vision for you and your brand?
I'm only coming to terms with me as a brand, to be honest. You know, 18 years, it seems like a long time, but in the makeup world, it's not. You know, most people that achieve what I have achieved, you know, has been in the industry for, you know, at least 25, 30 years. So for me, it's about just taking just all my ideas and just going for it. You know, it's just like whatever, anytime I see that there's something that's needed, then I try and find a way to make it happen. You know, regardless if it works or not, I just like trying to do new things. It's what keeps me busy. And it's because I never had that drive to just be a makeup artist. I'm learning so much about the business that, you know, just doing the book and the palette and working with brands and PRs is just the starting point for me. It's just like, it's opened up a whole can of worms, and I just want to be able to just keep collaborating and keep innovating and just doing whatever projects that come, you know, and make them work and do them well.
Absolutely. So what, you know, would you carry on.
No, I just think like in this day and age, I think you have to do that, because you can get stuck in a rut, and especially now with the climate, you know, you can't always just rely on one thing. You really have to have a 360 view, because customers all want different things, and I think it's really important to be able to to be able to relate to everybody in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say some of your biggest career highlights have been?
That's a really tough thing because, you know, my whole journey has been a highlight, really. It's just like one story after another. It's so exciting. I guess, you know, it's all steps, you know, of my achievements. So, you know, from when I had my first show at London Fashion Week, on schedule, you know, that, and I was still quite young, and being supported by MAC Cosmetics, you know, that was a major hit for me. And then from achieving, like, I did 43 shows in one season, in 4 days. That was my record, I guess, for doing shows at London. And that was me having teams on rotation. I had up to 7 teams in place, and I ran everything, you know. So I think we had over 140 makeup artists that I managed with my core team. And it's just me, you know, and assistants. So that, again, was a major highlight. And then obviously doing the book, doing the palette, those are big things for me. Yeah, I think now I'd love to collaborate more in film design and go on a bigger scale. Haven't done the Oscars yet. That's another tick on my list. You know, I was lucky to judge for the BAFTA. Again, that was a major honor for me to be nominated to judge at the BAFTA Craft Awards.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
I felt it really was a moment, just for that time, you know, to get dressed up, really glamorous, red carpet, sit at the table, and then just watch others win their awards. It's brilliant.
Amazing.
Just little things like this that I've been learning as I go in the industry are, it's so rewarding when you do get these, because it's such a small industry. So, you know, there's so many people going for the same job consistently, and there's generally only that one job or one campaign at that one time. And there's like hundreds of makeup artists. So for me, I think just being able to sustain a career is quite valuable and a major highlight. I'm still here, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the fashion industry has always been perceived as a very cutthroat industry, and for those behind the scenes, it's very competitive. What would you say some of the biggest challenges have been for you, and how did you overcome these?
The biggest challenge is probably getting in the door for anything in the fashion industry. Nothing's advertised. No one talks about it. It's very closed doors. You know, you have the barriers of not even know who to connect with when it comes to fashion. Not knowing who's the booker, who's in charge, who's running the job. All these things you just don't know. It's not available anywhere. You can't Google it. You can't. So that in itself is almost impossible, especially if someone just going into the industry brand new. It's very hard to get through. Even just trying to collaborate with photographers and stylists, you know, again, they all have their teams. So breaking in is really, really tough. But once you have one opportunity and once you start chipping away slowly, your network grows. So, you know, although it's very, very small, you know, you start to collaborate a lot. Once your name goes around, your reputation follows you. And also I feel that, you know, if somebody that's in a good position to help you, and, you know, they're doing a job, when they do the next job, they're gonna, you know, take you on. So for me, I found by networking, going to PR events, just always being open and available to collaborate. You know, between, you know, 10, 20 emails you send out, there'll be somebody. But I always feel that when you're meant to work with somebody, you will, because eventually it does happen. You know, I had loads of tick lists when I first started, of who I wanted to work with, who I wanted to collaborate, and they were pretty much impossible when I made those lists. But when I look back over my career, you know, I've slowly ticked them off, just like organically, from an opportunity or a client or a booking. You know, it just happens like that. It's just, there's no manual. But what I
No, there
found is
isn't.
you have to be positive. But yeah, you know, it's known to be quite, I guess, not bitchy, but I suppose you're saying it's bitchy.
Yeah.
It's quite tough because I think everyone is very highly competitive and probably
Yeah.
stressed, because you have, like I said, there is only that opportunity to have that one job, and if
Yeah.
it doesn't work out, you never get booked again. So it is cutthroat in that sense, is that, you know, if you're not at the top of your game, and you do okay, it's not enough. You almost have to smash it out of the park. You know, you almost have
Yeah.
to be so good that people
You have to
remember
level
you.
up every time and be that much better, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, and it's from, you know, from who you collaborate with and who they're collaborating, and there's a lot of like association, you know. I mean, it is quite tough, because if you haven't, for example, like if you haven't, say, when you first come in, you want to do fashion, but they don't see you as an editorial makeup artist, like they don't see Elle or Vogue on your list, then you just don't get, you won't get the job. You know, someone's going to choose, an employer is going to choose someone who's done the L's, the Vogues, the Glaciers, the Glamour magazines, more
Yeah.
so than somebody who hasn't. I mean, it's changed over time because of the influencers sort of, and the way the businesses are running now.
Yeah.
That's about your content and what message you're sending out, and that people collaborate with you. Like, people are actually, I find, the way I've succeeded is that I make jobs for myself. So the
Yeah.
job positions where I, you know, maybe don't fit in with a certain magazine or a certain group of people. You know, I was never the cool kid. I was always the odd one, or always wanting to do impossible things that could never be possible, but I made possible because no one else was doing it. So you sort of cut your competition by doing things that no one else is doing, because people can't compare you. And I think that's where I think that industry is that because it's fashion, it's all about beauty, it's about looking cool, it's about trends, being above the rest, you know, ahead of the game. You're always being judged consistently. So if you haven't got it all, it's hard. It's hard on your mental health, and it's hard on like trying to build yourself up. Oh God,
Yes.
someone's driving up outside.
Oh,
You know, it's all about being motivated. You know, I've grown, like I've got really thick skin now, and you know,
yes.
sometimes maybe it comes across as maybe quite arrogant or quite tough, but people who know me, you know.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I do get affected by comments. You know, like everyone else, you want people to love you, you want people to appreciate your work, and you want to be acknowledged. And I think that's what fashion is. It's like everyone's out there trying to do things and be creative and really push boundaries, you know. And when people say, what's fashion for, it's, you know, it's just inspiring people and getting the acknowledgement, you know. That's why it's so tough, because everyone's trying to not outdo each other, but always trying to create something better than the last job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are the 3 key pieces of advice you would give to other entrepreneurs and those who are looking to pursue a career in the beauty and makeup industry? And what legacy would you like to leave?
Three. I would say the advice would be, I guess, really ask why, because I learned this probably a little bit late down the game. You know, it's like, why are you doing this? Yes, you're creative, you want to make your mark, you absolutely love it, you're passionate, but the bottom question is why. If you actually want to make a business and actually maintain your career and to be able to work consistently around, you know, throughout the whole years and really achieve, you really have to ask why you're in it, you know, because it's the only way you can focus on what you want to achieve. You know,
Yes.
you can't just go in and walk into fashion and say, yeah, I just want to do Vogue, and yeah, I'm just going to do show, and you know, those just don't come to you. You have to put the work into it. So my tip would be obviously to research as much as you can, prepare yourself as much as you can. I've got like so many notebooks where I'm constantly writing notes of what I like to do, how I'm going to do it, who are the people that I need to connect with, and what I guess as my parents or my husband or most people would say, God, you're crazy. Why do you put yourself out, why do you put yourself out there? But if I just sat there, no one's going to come, hey, I've got this opportunity for you. Just nobody. You have to put the work in. You have to let people know what you want to do, ask people to collaborate. And I think when people know where you're going, and the right people will help you and jump on board to elevate you and join forces with you. So I think you have to it's almost like, when you're working in TV, you have to do a pilot before people start jumping on it, or, if you've got a really good idea and there's nothing out there, you actually have to test run the idea. You have to look at your competitors. You have to look at what makes you different to everyone. And it's quite tough because, we're so attached to our jobs. So I always tell my assistants or anyone that I'm trying to advise is, break yourself off what you're trying to do. Look into yourself from an outsider. Would you buy into yourself? If you're not being genuine, people see right through you. And I've seen that.
100%.
I've seen that now. I was saying this from the moment when I started. I had no agenda. I really believed in, I had this fantasy that everyone's kind. It's all beautiful. It's all positive, but obviously when I start working in and learning from my mistakes or learning from the way people treated me, I had to stop being not so nice, but I had to stop being so naive and had to
I
really
think that's
grow
more the point.
a business head,
Yeah.
Because,
And also not let people take advantage of you.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to be taken advantage of if you're really passionate. I think because people just want to do it anyway. They don't think about the money, they don't think about the value, they don't think about the worth. I really believe that, it's not about having a worth of a money situation. It's about actually, you've got bills to pay. Like, what would you be happy with? If you don't like talking about money, I've always said, well, have your minimum day rate, compare it to what if you didn't have it. So, for example, for makeup, you've got so many arenas in the industry. So you have to decide, are you going to be a beauty maker, as fashion, retail, consultant, PR, branding? There's so many questions. So you have to go and research all those areas, and it takes a long time, but it's really worth it to understand all those areas, because then you find out how much you get paid for those areas, and then you'll be able to add on to your skills, and you'll know the value of who you are, and you'll never be as miserable.
No.
If you want to succeed in business, I think you have to just, take emotions out. I think that's my biggest lesson, is that, don't just feel it's owed to you. Just because you study, just because you've got your degree, 3 years, you come out, you can't expect all this to come to you. Like in the beauty and fashion industry, it's earned. I've always said, like, I've never taken the easy route. It's always been like, I had to make sure that I was making the right decisions before taking particular opportunities. So I guess that's, in a nutshell, really, is to understand who you are and where you want to go and focus, because before you know it, 10 years will whiz by, because it's so fun. And that's the problem. When you have so much fun and you're doing what you love, I think a lot of creatives, they don't think about their business, and they don't think about the money. And that's why, it's such a taboo, at the early stages, that you could never buy a house with your freelancing money, because you never knew when your work was coming. It's unreliable. You would never get your loans or your investment from the banks, because you could never give an answer if you were going to work from week to week or month to month.
Exactly.
So for me, growing, in the business and becoming tougher and just more organized, I've been able to measure and scale up, and give myself, goals, and it's just there really just to make sure that I'm motivated, that I'm ticking boxes, and that I'm happy, by having these lists. You're putting it out there, you're visualizing where you want to be. It happens eventually. So I think if you're just, especially as it can be quite lonely when you're a makeup artist, I think you know, you can feel when you don't get those jobs, you know, you can get the option,
Yeah.
but then they've gone for someone else. It's a bit of, you know, you know, it's a bit tough to take
Yes.
consistently, you know.
Yeah.
It's just no, no, no. And I went through a lot of no's, but for me, the no's never got me down because I just assumed that they didn't like me. So I put it down to as, okay, they don't like me, they don't want to work with me, so I'll find another way. I'll work with someone else.
Yeah.
So I kept going quite a lot by being positive and just accepting, you know, if I didn't get a job, it's like, okay, they went for someone who they thought was better. Doesn't mean that I'm less. It just means that could I make myself better, you know, consistently educate myself, practicing, testing, just making sure that I'm the best self. So if you can go to any job knowing that, you know, you can do your best, then I think the jobs you get, you know, will reflect it.
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
Uh,
And what
and
legacy would you like to leave?
Well, my book's in the library, so I know that when I'm dead, that's a legacy. You know,
Yeah.
I always remembered, you know, my inspiration. I've always said, like, I was always inspired by Mother Teresa and the artists back in the day, like Monet, Rembrandt, Picasso, and their art lives on. So for me, you know, my legacy is, I want to be known as an artist, not just a beautician or anything like that. I want to be known as, you know, as somebody that people appreciated and just be acknowledged for what I've done. Like, I like to help people, and I guess, you know, the book has ticked that box in a way, because I always get messages from people around the world saying how much they're affected by the book. So for me, that's, you know, I'm happy, you know, and I have a daughter, so she'll live on, you know, with my name.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm still enjoying myself, and I just want to do more and more, and hopefully retire, so at some point.
Yes.
But you know, I guess in education, you know, if people are using my books as their tools for learning, then I've done my job, to be honest. You know, I've filled that little niche that I wanted to. I've given something to people that I wanted to have when I started makeup. So I think that ticks the box. So I guess to be acknowledged for what I've done would be quite nice.
Yes, absolutely. So, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
My Instagram is pretty much my hub.
Okay.
Yeah, and my website it's coming soon.
Okay.
I've got a new business sort of arena happening, but because of the lockdown and everything, it's been put in a standstill. But yeah, Instagram is pretty much the hub for all news and engagement at the minute, and I'm
Okay.
just on channels and stuff. So yeah, you find everything there at Lands London.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully you can come back in the future and we can see where you are in your makeup and beauty journey and business journey.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Thank you.